speaking from 21 South Street.
Winter is slowly bidding adieu now. Do you like summer? After the insularity of Jersey, London had been liberating. Theatres, cinemas, bookshops, museums, libraries helped further my self-education. Not once did I give serious thought to joining a college and picking up a degree. In any case, I did not have the funds, and there was no one to sponsor me. Instead, I had to join the vast legion of the world's workers. But Kensington Gardens, Regent's Park, Hampstead Heath, and Primrose Hill gave me the green and open spaces that I needed in order to survive. In many respects, London was a green city. My forays into the East End were really in search of literary landmarks, and yet something was missing from my life. Wu Fong had come and gone like the breath of wind, after which she had been named, and there was no one to take her place. The affection, the camaraderie, the easy-going pleasures of my Dehra friendships, the colour, the atmosphere of India, the feeling of belonging, these things I missed. Even though I had grown up with a love for the English language and its literature, even though my forefathers were British, Britain was not really my place. I did not belong to the bright lights of Piccadilly and Leicester Square, or, for that matter, to the apple orchards of Kent or the strawberry fields of Berkshire. I belonged very firmly to the peepal trees and mango groves, to sleepy little towns all over India, to hot sunshine, muddy canals, the pungent scent of marigolds, the hills of home, spicy odors, wet earth after summer rain, neem pods bursting, laughing brown faces, and the intimacy of human contact. Human contact. That was what I missed most. It was not to be found in the office where I worked, or in my landlady's house, or in any of the learned societies where I had joined, or even in the pubs into which I sometimes wandered. The freedom to touch someone without being misunderstood, to take someone by the hand as a mark of affection rather than desire, or even to know desire, and fulfillment, to be among strangers without feeling like an outsider. For in India, there are no strangers. I had been away for over 4 years now, but the bonds were as strong as ever. The longing to return had never left me. How I expected to make a living in India when I returned was something of a mystery to me. You did not just walk into the nearest employment exchange to find a job waiting for you. I had no qualifications. All I could do was write, and I was still a novice at that. If I set myself up as a freelance writer and bombarded every magazine in the country, I could probably eke out a livelihood. At that time, there were only some half a dozen English language magazines in India, and almost no book publishers. The possibilities were definitely limited, but this did not deter me. I had confidence in myself and plenty of guts, and of course, all the optimism of youth. As Donna Stiffen and Anthony Dull kept telling me they would publish my novel one day, I wheedled a £50 advance out from them, this being the standard advance against royalties at that time. Out of this princely sum, I bought a ticket for Bombay on the SS Battery, a Polish passenger liner which had seen better days. There was a fee for a story I had sold to the BBC and some money saved from my Fotex salary. And with these amounts, I bought a decent looking suitcase and a few presents to take home. I did not say goodbye to many people. Just my office colleagues who confessed that they would miss my imitations of Sir Harry Lauder, and my landlady to whom I gave my Eartha Kitt records, and walked up the gangway of the Battery on a chilly day early in October. Soon we were in the warmer waters of the Mediterranean, and a few days later in the even warmer Red Sea. It grew gloriously hot, but the Battery was a strange ship, said to be jinxed. A few months earlier, most of its Polish crew had sought political asylum in Britain, and now, as we passed through the Suez Canal, a crew member jumped overboard and never seen again. Hopefully he had swum ashore. And then, when we were in the Arabian Sea, we had to get out of our bunks in the middle of the night, for the ship's alarm bells were ringing, and we thought the Battery was sinking. As there had been no lifeboat drill and no one had any idea of how a lifebelt should be worn, there was a certain amount of panic. Cries of "Abandon ship!" mingled with shouts of "Man overboard!" and "Women and children first!" although there were no signs of women and children being given that privilege. Finally, it transpired that a passenger, tipsy on too much Polish vodka, had indeed fallen overboard. A lifeboat was lowered, and the ship drifted around for over some time. But whether or not the passenger was rescued, we were not told, nor did I discover his identity. Whatever tragedy had occurred had been swallowed up in the immensity of the darkness and the sea. The saga of the Battery was far from over. No sooner had the ship docked at Bombay's Ballard Pier than a fire broke out in the hold. Most of the passengers lost their heavy luggage. Fortunately, my suitcase and typewriter were both with me, and these I clung to all the way to Victoria Terminus and all the way to Dehradun. I knew it would be some time before I could afford more clothes or another typewriter. When the train drew into Dehra, I found Devinder waiting to greet me. Somi and Ranbir were now both in Calcutta. Devinder had come on his cycle. I got up on the crossbar of Devinder's bike and he took me to his place. He was staying in the outhouse of a tea planter. He took me to his place in style, through the familiar streets of the town that had so shaped my life. The Odeon was showing an old Bogart film. The small roadside cafes were open. The bougainvillea were a mass of color. The mango blossoms smelled sweet. Devinder chattered away, and the girls looked prettier than ever. And I was 24 that year. You were listening to Return to Dehra by Ruskin Bond from The Adventures of Rusty.
We will come back with another story another day. Till then, don't forget the address. It's 21 South Street. Goodbye.